The thread that holds the tapestry of our country together is respect for and adherence to the rule of law. The law is the greatest unifying and the greatest equalizing force that we have in our culture. But one person does not make law in a republic. If you enjoy a single person making law, you should investigate living in another country.
Back now in America's Forum, that's Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy of South Carolina back in late February warning against President Obama's executive action on immigration, a.k.a. amnesty. Unfortunately, that warning went unheeded by at least some of his Republican counterparts, 75 of them in the House, as they send to the president's desk without conditions funding for his amnesty as part of funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Now, with that done, the White House confirming the talk that our president is very interested in raising taxes. How would he do it? Why, through more unilateral executive action, of course. Against that backdrop, let's bring in our panel. Republican strategist Ford O'Connell, who's been with us the entire hour, and joining us from Newsmax New York, Rick Ungar, the senior political contributor for Forbes.com. Rick, taxes unilaterally levied?
Yeah, it's going to depend on a lot. It's very early in this process. I will say this, JD, if what the White House seeks to do is actually impose a new tax, they're going to run into trouble, because I'm pretty convinced you can't do that by executive order. That's very well reserved to the Congress by the Constitution. However, from what I've been able to see so far, most of what they're talking about may not be quite so clear, simply because they may be talking about doing away with some corporate loopholes. If it's a corporate loophole, which I agree with you has the effect of raising taxes for a company, but it is not actually raising taxes. It's getting rid of a loophole, a deduction, a credit, whatever. It's not quite so clear. So it's anybody's guess when you get into stuff like this.
Well, I appreciate the fact that for purposes of full disclosure, both you and Ford are trained as attorneys. JD in my name stands for John David, not Juris Doctor. So here's the way a non-lawyer looks at it. You guys in the law try to use technicalities in this case, saying that, no, it wouldn't be taxes. It would be Treasury Department regulations dealing with the treatment of corporations who may have assets in America but who have gone abroad. We have to do that. So, Ford, does that wash?
No, it does not wash. I'm going to use JD's terminology for once. We have this little 4,400-word document called the United States Constitution. It has 7 articles and 27 amendments. And one of the articles is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, that says Congress is the only entity that can lay taxes. Whether you pull back a loophole or you push forward a new tax, you are laying a tax. And that's the thing. Unfortunately, what's going to happen here is Republicans are likely to lose the messaging game again, and they're so pathetic that this is going to wind up in the courts, and we're going to have this argument. But expect the lawless Obama to continue manipulating the Constitution and using fair-minded words like, oh, I'm not laying a new tax, I'm just getting rid of a loophole, because corporations, they're awful. But here's the big question, JD. How is this a pro-growth basically policy that's going to put Americans back to work? That's all I want to know going forward, because I already know he's violating the law.
Well, in the minute that remains, let's let Rick make the case for this fair, progressive redistribution of wealth, unconstitutional though it may be.
First of all, JD, I think it was Ben Carson who wrote in his book that saying "you guys" is never going to get you very far.
Oh, attack the man who poses the question. Answer the question, Rick. Answer the question. Don't attack my rhetorical style. Answer the question with 30 seconds.
Well, I can't answer it if you keep asking me to answer the question. We went from a minute to 30 seconds. You know, Ford might be exactly right. This is why it is less than clear. It's not about technicalities. It's about law, whether you like it or not. If you don't like law, get a different system of laws. Whether Ford may think it's a technicality, but it's not at all clear. And I went and did a little research on this yesterday. If by regulation the IRS has the power to deal with loopholes, believe it or not, I actually think that you guys are probably right.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you just used the term "you guys." 5 seconds. We'll come back on the other side with more. Stay tuned.
The emails don't bother me as much as several other things. The main thing that bothers me, and I think should preclude her from being considered for the presidency, is that she didn't defend our mission in Benghazi. She was asked repeatedly for security, didn't defend the embassy or the consulate there, and then we, as a consequence, I think, lost our ambassador there.
Senator Rand Paul on Midpoint here on Newsmax TV yesterday saying it's not Hillary Clinton's use of personal email during her time as Secretary of State that would disqualify her from being president. Instead, it's how she handled Benghazi. Well, let's have a discussion among us guys. The political panel is back. Ford O'Connell, the Republican strategist at Newsmax Washington, and Rick Ungar, in his own inimitable style, joining us from Newsmax New York. Of course, Rick also the senior political contributor for Forbes.com. Ford, what about what Rand Paul has to say? It's not the possible violation of law with the personal use of emails, but Benghazi that's the real issue for Hillary?
I hear that Hillary Clinton is searching for a campaign slogan. I think it should be Hillary Clinton 2016, above the law. The law doesn't apply to her because she's just better than us, JD. Actually, whether it's Benghazi, the foundation, or the email, this is a modus operandi of her lacking transparency and secrecy. And understand something about the email. She set up the email account while it was unprecedented to use your personal email to conduct state business. She set that up before her Senate confirmation, and apparently, according to AP, she was running servers in the basement of her house, JD. So let me tell you something. This is about her constantly skirting everything. She's been running for president since 2005. She knew better. She broke the law, and the reason why she did it is because she's just better than us, JD.
Rick, I would have to think you might say not so fast, based on what we talked about yesterday.
Well,
now, have you done your research here? Did she break the law?
I have. I did do it. And here's where, I mean, it's great to make exciting, angry statements, but here's the reality. She may have broken the law, but let's talk about where. It's not that she had a server in her basement or that she was operating her own email account. She was perfectly entitled to do that under the regulation. Where she may have broken the law is that the regulation required that she make those emails available on the servers of the United States State Department, something she didn't do until last year. So that's where we get close to a question. Even if she did break the law, it's not something that has a punishment attached. So, you can scream about that.
Counselor Ungar, hold on one second. You and I both agree that she violated the
Time out. Let's let Rick conclude, then Ford, you get your chance. Okay, go ahead.
Then you can jump all over me. I would think that the real harm doesn't come from whether or not she broke a law. The real harm comes from what Ford was saying, which is how it's going to be perceived by the public, and it's not good.
All right, Ford, your turn.
Well, Counselor Ungar almost disarmed me here. He's absolutely right about the Federal Records Act and whether or not this is an actual violation. But yes, this is basically about perception. And this is what I'm concerned about if I'm a Democrat. What is Plan B when guys like me are done with Hillary Clinton? She's looking for a coronation, and all she's giving us is an inquisition. So we're going to keep pounding her, and trust me, we're going to create some doubt.
You know what's interesting, gentlemen? I can almost visualize it where she would concede the point, as Rick did. Well, I may have broken the law, but at this point, what difference does it make? But let's assume for a second. Let's assume for a second that doesn't work, Rick. Let's assume that doesn't work.
If you really want to go at her, first of all, it's not the law that Ford cited, because that was in 2014. It's an earlier regulation from 2009. She was gone by 2014.
Right.
But if you really, wait, let me finish. My goodness. If you want to really go after, I'm about to give you your strategy.
All right, we're all ears. Tell us.
You need to point out that while she probably did not break the law technically, she did break the spirit of the law, and that matters to people.
All right, heeny meeny chili beanie, the spirits are about to speak. Spirit of the law, is that it, Ford? Last 15 seconds to you.
She broke the spirit of the law, the intent of the law, and the actual law, and this might not be the only law she broke. So let's be honest, especially with the donation
while
she was to her foundation while she was his Secretary of State. So there's a lot of different laws, but the bottom line is the laws don't apply to the Clintons.
Thanks, guys. See you later.